When Amanda Halterman first appeared on 1000 Sisters, she wasn't the loudest voice or the most dramatic personality, but she quickly became the soul of the show. She had that unshakable mix of humor, grit, and protective energy that made fans fall in love with her. Whenever chaos hit the family, Amanda was the one who could cut through the noise with a single sharp comment or a look that said everything. But behind that fierce personality, few realized she was quietly fighting one of the hardest battles of her life. The woman who once held everyone together was beginning to unravel in silence when Amanda revealed her slimmer figure online. Fans were stunned. Her transformation looked drastic, almost too drastic. Social media exploded overnight. Viewers began to worry, asking if something deeper was going on. "She doesn't look healthy," some wrote. "What happened to our strong Amanda?" Others asked. At first, Amanda tried to keep things lighthearted. She joked with her followers, posting selfies and little captions about self-love and confidence. But over time, her posts grew fewer and her smiles smaller. Behind that glowing new appearance, there was pain she didn't want the world to see. It turned out Amanda had suffered a terrifying health scare, a heart attack that nearly changed everything. She spent 3 long days in the hospital, hooked to monitors and surrounded by machines that tracked every beat of her fragile heart. When she was finally released, doctors told her she'd have to wear a heart monitor constantly to keep watch on her cardiac activity. Amanda, always open but never self-pitying, posted a few photos of the device earlier this year. She didn't share many details, she rarely does, but the image said enough. Fans flooded her comments with love and prayers, yet even then, she tried to keep her tone positive. Just days before sharing that first slimmer photo, she had written about finding peace in the small moments, about choosing happiness despite the noise. Still, she admitted that the mental battle had been brutal. Losing weight wasn't just about food or exercise, it meant facing years of hidden pain. Amanda confessed that she'd lost her confidence during the process, that some days she barely recognized herself. But Leonard, the man who'd quietly stood by her side through so much, gave her the encouragement she needed. He reminded her that beauty isn't found in numbers or praise, but in the way she shows up every day, strong, resilient, and unbreakable. That moment changed her. She began to speak more openly about self-acceptance, urging her followers not to let others define their worth. "Success ain't for the weak," she once said in a live stream, and fans felt those words deep in their hearts. Her comment sections filled with messages from people on their own journeys of healing and rediscovery. Amanda had turned her struggle into strength for others. But as the months passed, some of that brightness began to fade. People noticed how fragile she looked. The weight she had worked so hard to lose seemed to have melted away too fast. And suddenly, the strong sister who had always been the rock looked like she might break. Amanda had undergone bariatric surgery 2 years earlier. It had been a major step, both a physical and emotional leap of faith. The procedure limited how much she could eat and forced her to change every habit she'd once relied on. For a while, everything went well. The pounds dropped, her energy returned, and she was even able to keep up with her young grandson, something she hadn't done in years. But then came the setbacks. A knee injury forced her to pause her workouts, slowing her progress and adding frustration. Yet she never gave up. She'd look in the mirror and remind herself, "I'm still that strong woman, I just walk slower right now." Her Instagram photos from that period showed a mix of pride and uncertainty. In one, she posed with her son and grandson, her smile genuine but her eyes distant. Some fans commented about how incredible she looked, while others worried she seemed too thin. One follower wrote, "Amanda, we love you, just make sure you're taking care of yourself." The truth is, Amanda's health wasn't as simple as a diet success story. Her body had been through trauma, her heart was still recovering, her energy unpredictable, and behind her confident posts was a woman trying to balance gratitude with fear. Neither she nor her family have publicly shared the full details, but it's clear she's still in recovery, both physically and emotionally. Fans began demanding answers from TLC, asking why Amanda's health struggles weren't being addressed on the show. "You can't just show the globe and skip the pain," one viewer tweeted. But for now, the network and Amanda's family have stayed silent. Still, Amanda's resilience shines through every time she appears. Even with all she's endured, she continues to be a protective sister, a loving mother, and a voice of strength. And while Amanda's journey took a quieter turn, the Slaton family's chaos never slowed down. Amy, now a mom of 2, was juggling parenting, self-care, and filming all at once. Meanwhile, Tammy, after her own incredible transformation, was finally living on her own again, breathing independence for the first time in years. Their lives were full of change, laughter, and the occasional sisterly argument that reminded fans exactly why they loved 1000 LB Sisters in the first place. It all led up to one of the most surprising and heartwarming storylines, yet a spontaneous family trip to London. Amy had taped a giant checklist on the refrigerator, with bright pink letters spelling out London trip to-do. It listed everything from fine snacks for Tammy's plain anxiety to pack extra hoodies. Tammy, calling from her new house, sipped her protein shake and teased Amy over FaceTime. "Girl, are you ready for the Queen's land?" Amy burst out laughing. "It's King Charles now." "Tammy, the Queen's gone." Tammy rolled her eyes dramatically. "Well, all I care about is they better have good food. I heard they call fries chips. I'm not eating potato chips for dinner." Amy laughed so hard she nearly dropped her phone. "And don't ask anyone for the toilet, Tam. It's called the loo." The next day, Amy drove to help Tammy pack. It was complete chaos. Clothes, snacks, and makeup everywhere. "You don't need 6 jars of peanut butter, Tammy," Amy said, trying to zip her suitcase. Tammy crossed her arms. "You don't know what weird food they got over there. I'm not starving. They have McDonald's in London." Amy sighed. Tammy blinked. "Oh, maybe I'll just take 1 jar then." The sisters bickered for hours about outfits, shoes, even airplane snacks. Amy insisted Tammy bring something classy for Buckingham Palace, while Tammy refused to leave behind her glittery pink tracksuit. In the end, they compromised. Tammy packed both. When departure day finally came, the whole family gathered at the airport to see them off. Tammy was excited but clearly nervous. This was her first time flying overseas. As they boarded, she whispered, "I hope this plane got enough snacks." Chris laughed. "You'll be fine. Just don't try to open the window." "All right." Once on board, Amy took selfies with Tammy and her boys. Tammy's unicorn-shaped neck pillow became the star of the flight. "You look like you're ready for kindergarten nap time," Amy joked, giggling uncontrollably. During the flight, Tammy became obsessed with the British accents she heard in the in-flight movie, Harry Potter. She started mimicking them loudly, until Amy whispered, "Tammy, you sound like a broken robot." After 9 long hours, they finally landed at Heathrow. Amy was amazed by the double-decker buses, the ancient buildings, and the politeness of strangers. Tammy's eyes lit up as she pointed excitedly. "Amy, look, a 2-story bus. I'm getting on that thing." Their hotel sat near the River Thames, with a breathtaking view of London's skyline. Within hours, they were sipping British tea for the first time. Tammy frowned after 1 sip. "It's okay," she said, "but it needs sugar, lots of sugar." Amy laughed. "It's tea, not a milkshake." Their days in London turned into a hilarious adventure. Tammy danced in front of the royal guards at Buckingham Palace, trying to make them smile while Amy recorded everything for her YouTube channel. "Stop, Tammy, you're gonna get arrested," she whispered through her laughter. Tammy was terrified of heights on the London Eye, but when they reached the top, she stared out at the city lights and whispered, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Amy's heart swelled with pride, seeing her sister not just surviving but truly living. They explored Harrods, rode a boat on the Thames, and toured the Tower of London. Tammy wore a crown headband everywhere she went, declaring, "I'm the Queen of London and Kentucky." On their final night, they sat by the river, watching the reflections of the city shimmer on the water. Amy turned to Tammy and said softly, "Remember when you couldn't even walk a few steps without oxygen? Look at you now, walking through London like a boss." Tears filled Tammy's eyes. "I never thought I'd see the world like this. Thank you, Amy, for not giving up on me." Amy smiled. "We did it together, sis." When they finally returned home, the family threw a little party decorated with Union Jack flags and Big Ben cutouts. The sisters couldn't stop laughing as they told stories about Tammy getting lost in the hotel lobby and Amy accidentally yelling at a cab driver. As Tammy said between fits of laughter, "London's got castles, but Kentucky's got my heart." The Slaton sisters had proven once again that no matter where life took them, home would always be found in laughter and in each other. Home would always be found in laughter and in each other. After returning home from London, the Slaton sisters found themselves back in the familiar rhythm of Kentucky life, the creaky floors, the smell of Southern cooking, and the echo of laughter bouncing through their houses. But something inside Amy felt different. The trip had reminded her of who she used to be, joyful, curious, full of energy, and she wasn't ready to lose that again. Ever since her separation from Michael, Amy had carried the weight of being a single mom to 2 little boys while still trying to rediscover herself. Her fans saw the smiles and the TikTok dances, but what they didn't see were the quiet nights where she sat on the couch, scrolling through old photos, wondering if she'd made all the right choices. Tammy, meanwhile, had become an unexpected internet darling. The woman who once sparked controversy for her stubbornness was suddenly being celebrated for her transformation, physically, emotionally, and mentally. TLC cameras followed her every move, capturing her newfound independence, her confidence, and her soft gratitude. But fans started noticing cracks in the image. Tammy's sweet new personality didn't sit right with some longtime viewers who remembered her fiery temper and raw honesty. Comments began appearing across social media. "This ain't the same Tammy," one fan wrote. "I feel like TLC's trying to make her the hero now." Others speculated that her kind demeanor was just careful editing, what fans began calling the Tammy rebrand. Inside the family, though things were more complicated, Tammy was trying to be better. The woman who once lashed out when scared or hurt was learning to breathe before reacting. She'd started therapy, journaling her thoughts instead of bottling them up, but the pressure of being under constant public scrutiny sometimes made her feel trapped, like no matter what she did, people would twist it. During one filming day, Tammy sat in her living room with Amy and Chris. Cameras rolled as she talked about how hard it was to change people's minds. "I know I was mean before," she admitted, staring at her hands. "But I was hurt. I was angry at myself, and I took it out on everybody else." Chris nodded quietly. "You ain't gotta prove nothin' to anybody, Tam. Just keep livin' right." Amy added softly, "You've come so far, sis. Don't let the comments pull you back." Tammy smiled, but her eyes glistened. "It's just, I want people to see me for who I really am now, not who I used to be." What fans didn't know was that Tammy was also grieving. She had lost several close friends she'd met in rehab, people who had encouraged her during her darkest days. The pain of those losses hit hard, and while she often posted upbeat videos, she was carrying quiet sorrow underneath. At the same time, Amanda's health struggles had drawn the sisters even closer. When she was hospitalized again briefly for a heart scare, Tammy and Amy rushed to her side without hesitation. Cameras weren't allowed in the hospital, but fans later heard about it from family updates online. Tammy stayed by her bedside for hours, holding her hand and whispering, "You ain't going nowhere, Mandy. We still got stuff to do." It was one of those rare moments that reminded everyone just how deep their bond ran beneath the arguments and chaos. Meanwhile, Amy was learning to balance motherhood with her own emotional healing. She started therapy and began talking openly about anxiety and burnout, topics rarely discussed in her early seasons. On social media, she admitted that motherhood was beautiful but exhausting, and fans appreciated her honesty. Her followers noticed the difference in her tone. She wasn't just funny Amy anymore, she was reflective, mature, and determined to rebuild her peace. TLC producers saw the shift too. In upcoming episodes, the focus slowly moved from just physical transformations to emotional ones. For Amy, it meant confronting her past and learning how to forgive herself for mistakes she'd made. For Tammy, it meant proving that her new kindness wasn't fake. But that change didn't sit well with everyone. Some fans complained that the show had become too soft. Others accused TLC of turning the once gritty, raw series into a polished redemption story. The truth, however, was somewhere in the middle. The Slaton sisters were evolving, just like anyone would, after surviving near-death experiences, heartbreaks, and personal loss. In one emotional scene filmed for the new season, Amy broke down in front of the camera. She was sitting in her living room surrounded by toys, holding one of her son's tiny shoes. "I just want to be the mom they deserve," she said through tears. "Sometimes I feel like I'm failing, like I'm not enough." Tammy, sitting beside her, reached over and took her hand. "You're more than enough. You're everything they need." For a moment, the room fell silent except for Amy's quiet sobs. That scene, raw and unscripted, became one of the most powerful moments of the season. Fans later called it the realest 5 minutes on TLC. But as much as Amy and Tammy had changed, fame was still a heavy burden. The more popular they became, the more rumors followed. Every photo Tammy posted sparked wild speculation, from secret relationships to fabricated feuds. Some gossip outlets claimed she was acting nice for sponsors, while others accused her of being controlled by TLC. Tammy ignored most of it, but sometimes it got to her. During a late-night livestream, she finally addressed it. "I ain't fake," she said firmly. "What you see is what you get. I ain't perfect, but I'm trying to do better, and that should count for something." Fans flooded the comments with hearts and support. "We see your growth, Tammy," one wrote. Another added, "Don't listen to the haters. You've inspired so many of us." That night, Tammy logged off with tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. For once, she felt seen for who she truly was. Around that same time, Chris Combs began stepping up in a big way, always the voice of reason in the family. Chris became a mentor figure not just to Tammy but to thousands of fans struggling with obesity and food addiction. He started sharing motivational videos, reminding viewers that setbacks were just part of the journey. In one clip, Chris looked straight into the camera and said, "If you fell off track today, that don't mean you failed. It means you're human. Start over tomorrow. That's what we do. We keep trying." His honesty resonated deeply. Fans began tagging him in their own progress posts, calling him Uncle Chris the motivator. As for Amanda, her recovery was slow but steady. She began walking more, cooking healthier meals, and prioritizing her mental health. She said her near-death experience had taught her to stop worrying about what people think and start living for herself. One afternoon, all 4 siblings gathered at Tammy's house for a casual cookout. There were no cameras that day, just family, laughter, and a sense of peace that had been missing for years. Amy chased her boys around the yard while Tammy sipped her sugar-free lemonade, laughing so hard her oxygen monitor beeped. Chris grilled burgers, and Amanda teased him for burning one. "Still can't cook worth a dang, can you?" she joked. Chris grinned. "Hey, at least I didn't order pizza this time." Tammy leaned back in her chair, watching her family, her people, and smiled softly. "You know," she said, "for the first time in forever, it feels like we're all good." Amy nodded, glancing at her sister. "Yeah, it really does." That quiet summer evening became a turning point. The family had been through hell, surgeries, heart attacks, divorces, and grief, but they'd made it through together. Still, life had more surprises in store. Just as things seemed peaceful, TLC producers hinted at a major shift for the next season. There were whispers of a new spin-off, one that would follow Tammy's solo life and her rumored new relationship. Fans went wild online, speculating about who her mystery partner might be. Tammy kept quiet, neither confirming nor denying anything, which only fueled the fire. But Amy, in a rare interview, smiled slyly and said, "Let's just say Tammy's happy. Real happy." That comment alone sent the fandom into overdrive. Hashtags like #TammyInLove and #SlatonRomance began trending. Meanwhile, Amanda continued to inspire with her openness about recovery. She posted a photo of her heart monitor with a simple caption, "Still standing?" Thousands of fans commented with support and admiration. But the one comment that stood out was from Tammy herself. "Proud of you, sis. Always." That message, short and heartfelt, reminded everyone watching that no matter what the internet said, at the end of the day, these sisters were family. They'd fought, cried, and nearly lost each other. But they'd also built something unbreakable. By the end of the season, TLC aired a closing montage clips of Amy laughing with her sons, Tammy, walking unaided for the first time through her backyard, Amanda cooking Sunday dinner, and Chris cracking jokes as the camera zoomed out. A narrator's voice closed the episode with a line that felt almost poetic. "They came from struggle, they walked through pain, but in the end, they found something stronger than fame. They found each other again." As the screen faded to black, fans across the world felt a lump in their throats. For all its drama, 1000 Delby Sisters had always been about one thing: family, messy, imperfect, and beautifully real. When the next season of 1000 Delby Sisters began filming, the air around the Slaton family felt different, calmer, but charged with something unspoken. For months, fans had speculated about Tammy's love life, and now TLC's cameras were ready to dive in. Tammy had been hinting about someone special on social media, a few cryptic emojis, a blurred photo, a caption that simply read, "He makes me laugh." Fans went wild. Some thought it was just a friend, others believed it was a new boyfriend, but no one could confirm anything. Not yet. For Tammy, the attention was both thrilling and terrifying. She'd spent years being mocked for her relationships, especially after her past romances became tabloid fodder. This time, she wanted to do things differently, privately, quietly, and for herself. When production resumed, TLC introduced the storyline carefully. Instead of teasing it like a scandal, they approached it as a chapter of healing. In her first confessional of the season, Tammy smiled nervously and said, "I'm seeing somebody new. He's kind, he's patient. He don't see me for my past, just for me." It was a soft moment, but it sent shockwaves through the fandom. Almost instantly. Clips from that episode flooded social media. Fans were divided, some cheered for her happiness, while others questioned her motives. "This feels too soon." One comment read, "Is this real love or just another TLC storyline?" The speculation didn't stop there. Blogs started publishing pieces about how TLC was rebranding Tammy again, turning her new romance into a redemption arc to keep viewers hooked. Some even accused the network of manipulating her public image, suggesting that her sweet girl edit was designed to erase her controversial past. It wasn't the first time the 1000 LB Sisters fandom had turned critical, but this time, the debate hit a nerve. Tammy, who had worked hard to change her life, felt like her sincerity was being questioned all over again. "I can't win with these people," she vented during one off-camera moment. "When I was mean, they hated me. Now I'm happy, and they still hate me." Amy, sitting beside her, gave her a knowing look. "That's what happens when people only see half your story, sis. They don't know what happens when the cameras stop." And Amy was right. Behind the scenes, Tammy was still going through deep emotional work, therapy sessions, grief counseling, and a slow journey toward trusting herself again. Her new relationship wasn't just romance, it was part of that healing. He wasn't a public figure. He didn't want fame, and that was exactly what Tammy needed. He encouraged her to go for walks, to eat better, to laugh more. He didn't see her as a reality star or a headline, just as a woman who'd survived things most people couldn't imagine. But the internet didn't care about nuance. Within weeks, fan pages began dissecting every post and photo. Some claimed Tammy's boyfriend was using her for clout, while others insisted TLC had scripted the whole thing. The noise got so loud that Tammy temporarily deleted her social media. For nearly a month, she went quiet, no updates, no selfies, no videos. Fans panicked. What's going on with Tammy? Did she and her boyfriend break up? Is TLC hiding something again? When she finally returned, she didn't post a long statement or emotional video, just a single quote image that read, "Peace means not having to explain yourself to people who never cared to understand you." That silence spoke louder than any words could. While Tammy's romance was unfolding, Amy was finding her own kind of peace. She'd moved into a new house, started a small side business, and was slowly regaining her confidence. Her kids were thriving, and she was learning how to balance being a mom with being herself again. Fans noticed how grounded she seemed in new episodes. Her tone was calmer, her laughter softer, not forced, but real. And yet, as the sisters grew individually, their fame grew even faster. TLC began promoting 1000 LB Sisters more aggressively than ever, releasing teaser clips that hinted at drama, some real, some exaggerated. Is Tammy really in love? Is Amy ready for another baby? Will the family survive fame? The marketing worked. The season premiere broke viewership records, but with that success came the ugly side of celebrity rumors, gossip, and scrutiny. Tabloid headlines appeared almost daily. TLC scripted Tammy's relationship for ratings. Insiders claimed Slaton sisters are being exploited. Amy and Tammy feuding behind the scenes. Most of it wasn't true, but truth rarely mattered online. The family tried to brush it off, but privately, it hurt. Amanda was the first to speak up publicly, posting a short video where she said, "People forget we're human. Y'all think this show's a game, but it's our lives. Be kind." Her comment went viral, sparking a wave of support for the sisters. Fans flooded social media with messages of love, using hashtags like #TeamSlaton and #RespectTheJourney. For the first time in months, the internet seemed to rally around them instead of tearing them apart. In one emotional reunion scene filmed later that year, the entire family gathered at Chris's house for dinner. There were no dramatic arguments or shouting matches, just laughter, teasing, and quiet moments of reflection. Amy raised her glass of sweet tea and said, "To us, we might fight like cats and dogs, but nobody loves like we do." Tammy smiled. "Yeah, and ain't nobody realer than this family." The table erupted in laughter. It was genuine, warm, the kind of moment that reminded fans why they'd fallen in love with the Slatons in the first place. But as the episode aired, viewers noticed something else. Tammy looked happier than ever. Her face glowed. Her laughter sounded effortless. It wasn't just the weight loss or the new relationship, it was the peace she'd fought to find. Still, behind the scenes, things with TLC were getting complicated, according to production insiders. Tammy had started pushing back on certain stories. She wanted more control over what was filmed, how she was portrayed, and which parts of her life stayed private. It wasn't about ego, it was about protecting her sanity. She's tired of being edited into a caricature, One crew member allegedly said, "She wants people to see her truth, not a version of it." Fans noticed subtle changes to Tammy began posting behind-the-scenes photos, hinting that there was more to her story than the show revealed. In one caption, she wrote, "Y'all only see a few hours of our lives. The real story happens in between." That line became one of her most shared quotes. Meanwhile, TLC faced growing criticism for how it handled the sisters' fame. Critics accused the network of exploiting their pain for entertainment. While fans debated whether the show had lost its authenticity, still, ratings kept climbing. People couldn't look away. In a surprising twist, Tammy herself addressed the controversy during a reunion special. Sitting on the couch beside Amy, she looked straight into the camera and said, "People say TLC made me a villain. Maybe they did, but I gave them that story, too. I was angry. I was broken. I let the world see my worst. And now I'm letting them see my best. You can call it whatever you want. I call it growth." The studio audience erupted in applause. Amy leaned over and whispered, "That's my sister." That moment became one of the most powerful in the show's history. Raw, unscripted, and real. After the episode aired, Tammy's online following exploded again, but this time, it wasn't from mockery or shock value, it was from respect. People saw her differently. They saw a survivor, not a spectacle. The following months brought even